How can I make something that looks like this all by myself? Hi, I'm Matthew. I'm a third-year character animation student at CalArts, and it might come to a surprise to you that it is a surprise to me that people were surprised by this film. And what if I told you that I didn't like it? I didn't like this film that much, actually. It's kind of a long story, but to start, it was September when
How did you do the blender thing? I just want to know the blender part. Just skip to the blender part.
I was gonna just, like, start from the beginning of the process.
What add-on did you use? What brushes did you use?
It's in the credits. You know what? I'll put a link in the description to the different chapters of what I'm going to talk about. But I'm going to start from the beginning because the story behind the story is a whale of a tale. You know, I've never actually heard someone use that phrase outside the context of a whale pun. Remember last year when I hit a sort of creative wall with my film? This year was worse. It was much worse. I may have come up with a new idea every month of the semester. It wasn't until the last week of the semester that I actually distilled it to 2 ideas. One of which was creatively ambitious and kind of daunting and risky, but really fun and exciting. And I ended up going with the portfolio piece I already made because I was running out of time and I needed some stability in my life. At least it works, right? At least I know it works. I love how the story has conflict and a beginning, middle, and end, and plot. I knew from the get-go that I wanted to make this film in 3D. I needed a medium that was good at capturing depth and water caustics, and hundreds of fish. Not to mention, I wanted to make something that visually stood out from the sea of student films. Because the story was boring. That's when I discovered Blender's paint systems, a way to
paint directly on your 3D object with features like layer clipping, blend modes, and animatable opacity, and it's so easy, it feels like magic.
I'm not typically an add-ons kind of guy. I like using vanilla Blender. That being said, when I actually tested out the capabilities of this add-on, it changed my life. I went around demonstrating it to every friend that I bumped into that day. It's January. We are halfway through the school year, and I have a mid-story in animatic form, vague ideas of what my film is gonna look like, and a tool that I haven't used before that I am betting my entire film on. I didn't make a color script, I made a few paintings. I was running out of time and I needed to compromise, and that meant jumping into the deep end. My first attempt at making the protagonist was bad. It was really bad. It was not looking good. I was betting everything on my self-taught Blender knowledge, and it was looking like ass. And then I remembered normals. I remember watching a tutorial about how to actually make something look painterly in Blender by manipulating the way that Blender calculates the direction that light bounces off the object. In other words, I can paint the lighting. This was when I was hit with a wave of relief. If you want to learn more about the process, I made a free document that goes over exactly how I was able to do all of this. But it's essentially just painting. I paint over it once for the normals, a second time for the color, and then maybe a third or fourth time to just add some extra layers in there. And now I just have to paint over everything at least twice, again, and again, and again, and oh god. I loved modeling and rigging the animals. I hated making people. Why do they look like that? It's fine. They'll just be in the background. No one will even notice. I never really learned 3D animation professionally. Graph editors scared the shit out of me, and I do not have time to deal with them. My approach is closer to stop motion in Blender. It's a process that I sort of picked up while making dream catchers. So this is a process I was more sure about.
Shut the fuck up!
I laid down the key poses using Shift-E for specific breakdowns and just went back in and frame by frame tweaked things. For faces, I used this thing called shape keys. I had a set of default shape keys and then went back in to add specific ones later for specific facial expressions that I needed for each scene. Or fixing weight painting mistakes. There were a lot of problems with those. And after everything was done, I did the 2D effects in TV Paint, which was so much harder than I thought it would be. But it turned out fine, it turned out great, especially when I brought it into... The beautiful thing about 3D is that the lighting comes for free. So actually, I didn't really need to do that much compositing. In After Effects, I mainly just put things together. Some scenes required multiple layers of exports, which I just kind of stitched together. I added a little color correction here and there, but I was really surprised at how much this film didn't need color correction. The colors shouldn't have worked as well as they did in this film, because I did not do that much viz dev. In Blender, I used this node called Kuahara for the compositing that basically just made everything a little more painterly. And then finally, I brought it into Premiere Pro and added a slight turbulent displace just to make every sharp edge look softer and have more texture to it.
Voila! He is clean.
And while it looks like I made this entire film by myself, that's not true. I had support from so many wonderful friends throughout the making of this film, and I had really talented friends help me with the music and the sound design, which really brought the film together.
Hello, Etia.
Hi Matthew, my name is Etia. I wrote the music on Matthew's film.
I guess maybe what are some highlights? What are some difficult things?
The
epic highs and lows of writing music?
There were many epic highs and lows of writing music on Matthew's third year film. Like writing the melody. At the very beginning, Matthew was very no, I wouldn't say vague. You had a very specific instruction, which was you did not want it to sound like Finding Nemo or what were the other Ponyo.
We made a very jazzy film for 24-hour challenge, so I didn't want to just make the same thing. I wanted it to sound refreshing and new, and I think you did that.
Thank you. Thanks, Matthew. I eventually kind of settled on doing a mash of different parts of those films that people don't usually focus on when recreating that style. And thankfully we got live musicians to record it, which was really fun. And I guess the pipeline for it was pretty much just came up with the motif, and then we just expanded that, basically let the motif write the music itself with some pushes to get it into certain emotional directions. Yeah, and so that's how the music was made.
Yeah, I think that's probably it then.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to say?
Thanks for the interview and for the fun work, Matthew.
Thanks for interviewing and the fun work. Hello, Maggie.
Hello. Hi, I'm Maggie Gunawan. She, her pronouns. I'm a BFA 3, going on BFA 4 in the experimental pop program.
Yeah.
And I'm a sound designer.
What was it like making the sound for the Oceanarium?
Yes. I think when I first got the film, I was very hyperfixated with the animal sounds.
Mm-hmm.
I really wanted the crabs in particular were
Yeah.
very interesting to think about. The crab sounds were a mix of 3 different things. One of them is this cool crocodile-looking thing,
Yeah.
like a medicine
Show it to the
packet
camera.
that has a really nice shake.
Yeah.
And when you bend it, it has a nice pop to it.
Nice. What was the most difficult sound to kind of nail down?
Thinking about the vocalization of the animals, of the whale
Yeah.
and the otters and the dolphins and stuff.
Are there any other sounds that you made that came from a surprising source?
Yeah, I wouldn't call it surprising, but growing up I had a lot of the shark toy. I named the shark toy in my files Chomp. It's a plastic thing. This is from Disney, cardboard crystal case that I opened ever so slightly to
Yeah.
make the little sounds of his mouth biting
Yeah.
down. For the crowds,
Yeah.
it was actually a recording that I took at the waiting line at the night safari at Singapore.
Mm.
It felt very fitting because there's a lot of kids.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shouting, and it's
Yeah,
very
yeah.
like loud with like, announcements and everything. I did the steps as well. I put this specific microphone on the floor, and I was just walking around in my apartment with different types of shoes just
Nice.
to like see which one would fit best.
Yeah.
I couldn't do the dolphin and
Yeah, right.
the otter sounds, so I actually did the whale.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So the whale was me in my bathroom just going, ooh.
Wait, I didn't even know.
Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah. I think it was very important to me that the whale had to be on pitch with Atia's music. It's sustained long enough that if it was in a different pitch, it
Yeah.
would just completely mess up Atia's music.
That's so fair.
So I recorded that, and of course I don't have the deepness of
Yeah.
the voice of a
So you
whale.
pitched it down.
So I pitched it down. I added a bit of effects to make it sound a bit unrecognizable.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did the whale sound.
Wow, I should have credited you as a voice actor. Yeah, any other last thoughts or any things you want to say?
Watch Oceanarium.
Yay!
Watch it.
Yeah. Oh, also, do you want to plug Art Tale? I don't know.
Oh.
It could be a time too.
Oh yeah, I'm also working on this podcast called Art Tale. Come watch us. We do a lot of really fun interviews with people like Daniel Chong, Mark Mangini, we did James Baxter.
Crazy
A
polls,
lot of-
guys.
a lot of-
Also, I'm in some of them. Yeah.
Yeah, thanks
Cool.
for having me.
Yeah.
Woo!
Thank you for interviewing. Okay, we'll cut this out now.
And even with all this work, all this effort, all the trials and tribulations, the epic highs and lows of high school football, I like it. I think it's fine, I guess. But I am glad I made it. It shows that I can make a film that works, and being stuck with a boring film really just drove me to want to tell more interesting stories in the future. I think I literally came up with 7 different ideas for short films and miniseries and feature film delusions just from being chained to this film for all this time. And I did learn a lot during the process, especially about Blender and this specific new add-on that I've discovered that I will definitely be bringing into my future work. But that being said, that was how I made the film, and I am determined to make something much crazier next year. But thank you for watching this. Thank you for watching my film, and watching the making of. It means a lot that people really like this film, even if I don't really. If you want to learn how to do this, it's pretty simple, actually. And I have a whole document that's free that you can find in the description to talk about that. I also have a Patreon if you want to support my work. I'm expecting to hopefully be able to do even more little short films again. But yeah, that's sort of it. That's sort of the video. I can stop talking now.